Hey guys, so today I'm reviewing The Sign of Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is the second book in the Sherlock Holmes series, and it did not disappoint. Sherlock Holmes and Watson are at home when a young lady named Mary Morstan comes to their home for their help. For the last 6 years she has received a pearl on her birthday, and this year she actually received a note telling her to come to a train station that she was allowed to bring two of her friends, but she was not to involve the police whatsoever, that all would be explained because she's been treated wrongfully, and it's also about her father. So, of course, Holmes and Watson are going to get involved as they are just as intrigued as we are about this case, and they go, and mystery ensues, and murder, and also love. Anyway, the writing in this book was absolutely beautiful. It's an art in itself. I actually would reread certain passages of the story, either because I knew that it was going to be important later on in my thoughts, or because it was so beautifully written. Even if it was like, it really creeped me out, it was beautifully written. The one that I'll read for you actually goes with what I want to state next, and it's the opening paragraph for the story. Sherlock Holmes took his bottle from the corner of the mantelpiece, and his hypodermic syringe from its neat morocco case. With his long, white, nervous fingers, he adjusted the delicate needle and rolled back his left shirt cuff. For some little time his eyes rested thoughtfully upon the sinewy forearm and wrist, all dotted and scarred with innumerable puncture marks. Finally he thrust the sharp point home, pressed down the tiny piston, and sank back into the velvet-lined armchair with a long sigh of satisfaction. Isn't that beautifully written? Like, it's creepy and disturbing, but it's beautifully written. I literally was shocked when I found out when I started reading, I'm like, no. And then I found out that it was, and I reread it again because it was so beautifully written. Anyway, I really liked the story being in Watson's perspective again. I know that all of them are, but because it's in Watson's perspective, we get to see his description of Mary Morstan, and we also get to see how his character gets distracted, but we also get to see when his character focuses. So, I really like that. I also like the fact that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle always includes the title in the actual case. The Sign of Four, A Study in Scarlet, they're in the story, and I believe it's Holmes that usually says it first, but basically it becomes the title for the case. And I really like that because it's very true to some cases where it's not just referred to as case 0109, it's referred to case Bluetooth or something. Yeah, so I like that. It gives it a very natural feel. Now, Watson's wound actually changes. It moves from his shoulder to his leg. In this edition, it was page 93, the top of the page. It was interesting because it's literally word for word, but the only thing that's changed is it says his leg, not his shoulder. So the description is basically word for word, the exact same thing. Now, I didn't like the fact that Watson has pretty much been living with Holmes. At one point he says for a number of months, and then at one point he says for like a year or two. And he still brushes off certain things that Holmes does. If Holmes is looking at a footprint, Watson just literally walks away and says this is a waste of time. It's just, I didn't like that, because if he's worked a number of cases, because there is a case mentioned that I don't think we're ever told about, aside from them discussing it, you kind of think Watson would be used to this by now, because Holmes' every little detail is absolutely plausible. It should be included until you need to eliminate it. I also like the fact that Holmes has to go out in disguises. Holmes has now become quite popular because of Watson's writings up of the cases and publishing them. So Holmes, when he goes out to find a killer or a specific person, he has to go in disguise so that they don't know who he is. And he does a really good job with that. I like the fact that the characters, we can change our perspectives. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was very gifted in writing a scene where you might have sympathy for a character, but then in another you are like, well, that character got what he deserved. Or you say about one character, that character needs to be caught, like he's a horrible character. And then later on in the story, you feel kind of sympathetic for the person. Kind of, not fully. I also enjoy the endings. The same was with A Study in Scarlet. I like the fact that you know that they're going to catch the murderer. But I love the fact that Holmes always has the murderer explain himself. And I really like that. I like the fact that they include the character and you get the backstory. It's not just something where it just came up and they decided, oh, I'm just going to murder this person. It's been like 20 years in the making. So I always really enjoy that fact with how Sir Arthur Conan Doyle ended the book. I hope this wasn't too long of a review. I really enjoyed reading this. I just wanted to share some of my thoughts as well as giving a review for the book. If you guys have read The Sign of Four, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. Feel free to leave something in the comments down below. And I will see you next month. So tomorrow, go pick up a random book and read. Bye guys.